You think you're family? You're just the help, Maria. Black help at that. Richard Harrington's voice sliced through the dim kitchen air like a whip crack. Maria Thompson froze, her hand gripping the clippers midair, the buzz echoing off the marble counters in the Harrington penthouse. Her jaw clenched tight, teeth grinding against the flood of rage surging up her throat. She had slipped in before dawn, determined to shave her head in secret, but Richard stormed in, his face twisted in fury at the sight of her thick curls falling to the floor. What the hell are you doing? Trying to play hero for my daughter? Emily doesn't need your pity. She needs real care, not some Harlem sob story. Maria's fingers trembled on the clippers, but she pressed on, the machine whirring louder as another lock tumbled down. Her brown eyes locked on his, defiant, refusing to break. Mr. Harrington, this ain't pity, it's... He cut her off, stepping closer, his breath hot with contempt. It's what? Solidarity? Save it. You've overstepped since day one, whispering those African tales to her like you're her damn mother. You're fired if you don't stop this nonsense right now. His fist slammed the counter, sending the fallen hair scattering like ash. Maria's chest heaved, her scalp now half bare, exposed and raw under the harsh fluorescent light. She touched the smooth patch, a tear escaping despite her iron will. But she bit it back, her voice steady as steel. You can't fire love, sir, not when Emily's breaking inside. Richard's eyes narrowed, veins bulging in his neck. Love, from you. Know your place. He yanked the clippers from her hand, hurling them across the room, where they clattered against the wall. Maria stood tall, her partial shave a jagged symbol of rebellion, her heart pounding with the weight of unspoken secrets. But as he turned to leave, she whispered under her breath, Place? You'll see mine soon enough. The door slammed shut behind him, leaving her alone with the mirror reflecting a woman transformed, ready to fight for the child she cherished more than blood. Yet in that silence, the question burned. Why would a maid sacrifice everything for a millionaire's daughter, and what hidden tie bound them tighter than chains? Get out of my sight, Maria. You're done here. Richard's roar echoed down the penthouse hallway, his face flushed crimson as he shoved open the kitchen door again, hours after their clash. Maria spun around, her half-shaved head throbbing under a hastily tied scarf, her fists balled at her sides. She had cleaned up the hair clippings, but the clippers lay shattered on the floor like broken promises. Sir, Emily needs me now more than ever. She's not just your daughter. She's... He sliced through her words, advancing with a finger jabbed at her chest. She's what? Yours, don't you dare. You've poisoned her with your stories, your hugs acting like you're equal in this house. His voice cracked like thunder, eyes blazing with raw disdain. Maria's shoulders tensed, her nails digging into her palms until blood welled up, but she held her ground, her breath coming in sharp bursts. She had commuted from Harlem every dawn for 5 years, scrubbing floors, cooking meals, and cradling Emily through nightmares, all while Richard barked orders from his boardroom throne. Before the storm, her days blurred into routine. Rising at 4 a.m. in her cramped apartment, the subway rattle shaking her bones, arriving at the Harrington Tower to face Richard's wife, Laura, who offered polite smiles but never warmth. Emily, the 8-year-old with porcelain skin and wide blue eyes, was the light, clinging to Maria's skirts, begging for tales of African queens in Harlem streets. Tell me about the brave ones, Maria, Emily would plead, her small hand in Maria's calloused one. Maria obliged, her voice low and steady, weaving strength into the girl's fragile world. But Richard loomed like a shadow, muttering about proper influences, his wealth a shield against anyone beneath his tax bracket. Now chaos erupted. Emily's scream pierced the air from upstairs, a high-pitched wail that froze them both. Maria bolted past Richard, her scarf slipping to reveal her patchy scalp, feet pounding the marble stairs. Emily, hold on, baby! She burst into the nursery, where the girl lay crumpled on the rug, her face pale as death, clutching her stomach. Blood trickled from her nose, staining her white dress. Laura hovered nearby, hands fluttering uselessly, her sobs choking the room. Oh God, Richard, call the ambulance! Richard shoved in behind Maria, phone already to his ear, barking commands. Yes, Harrington residence. My daughter, she's collapsing. Send the best now. He glared at Maria as paramedics swarmed in minutes later, their sirens wailing below the skyscraper. In the ER at Mount Sinai, doctors huddled, needles flashing, tests running through the night. Maria paced the waiting room, her scarf askew, ignoring the stares from nurses. Richard cornered her against the wall, his whisper venomous. If this is your fault, some virus from your side of town, I'll ruin you. Maria's eyes flashed fire, her voice a whip. My fault? I've been her rock while you chase deals. But he turned away, dismissing her with a wave. Hours dragged until the doctor emerged, face grim. Leukemia? Advanced. We start chemo immediately. Laura collapsed into Richard's arms, wailing. Emily, hooked to machines, reached weakly for Maria from her bed. Don't leave me, the girl whispered, her fingers cold. Maria knelt, pressing her lips to Emily's forehead, her resolve hardening like forged steel. Richard yanked her back. Enough. You're not family. You're staff. Stay if you must, but one wrong move, and you're gone. Maria's heart hammered, the diagnosis igniting her purpose. She would stand by Emily, no matter the cost, even as Richard's threats loomed like a guillotine. But deep down, a buried truth stirred. The old letters in her drawer hinting at blood ties long denied. She straightened, eyes locked on Emily. I'm here, child. Always. The hospital lights buzzed overhead, casting long shadows as the real battle ignited. Stay away from her bed, Maria. You're contaminating the room with your Harlem filth. Richard's snarl ripped through the sterile hospital hum, his hand clamping Maria's wrist like a vice as she leaned over Emily's IV-dripping form. Maria yanked free, her arm burning from his grip, teeth bared in a silent growl. Contaminating? I'm the one holding her through the nights you skip for meetings. He lunged forward, voice ablade. Holding? You're intruding. Emily's my blood, pure Harrington stock. You? Just hired hands, black and broke. Maria's fists knotted, knuckles whitening, her half-shaved scalp itching under the scarf as she straightened, refusing to buckle. Emily stirred in the bed, her small frame racked by chemo's first assault, skin ashen, eyes fluttering open. Maria, sing the Queen's song, the girl rasped, tiny fingers reaching out. Maria knelt instantly, her voice cracking into a low melody of ancient African warriors, her hand enveloping Emily's cold one, squeezing life into it. Richard hovered, his breath ragged, cutting her off mid-note. Stop that nonsense, doctors only, no voodoo chants. But Emily's lips curved faintly, color flickering in her cheeks, her grip tightening on Maria's. Maria locked eyes with the child, her chest swelling with fierce protectiveness, ignoring the nurse's sidelong glances. She had started this path the moment Emily collapsed, vowing to be the anchor Richard couldn't. Mornings now meant smuggling in homemade broth past security, dodging Richard's spies, his hired aides who reported every move. She's improving because of me, Maria hissed at him during a hallway standoff, her back pressed against the wall as he towered over her. Improving? Delusion. He jabbed a finger at her chest, nearly bruising her. You're a distraction. Fired if you don't back off. Maria's jaw locked, pain shooting through her teeth from the clench, but she pivoted, storming back to Emily's side. The girl whimpered during the next round of nausea, vomit splattering the basin Maria held steady, her arms aching from hours of support. Breathe, baby. I'm here, Maria murmured, wiping Emily's brow with a cool cloth, her own exhaustion gnawing like hunger. Richard burst in again, yanking the cloth away. That's my job. Get out. Maria snatched it back, fire exploding in her veins. Your job? Where were you last night when she cried for hours? He recoiled, face purpling, but retreated to the door, muttering threats. Challenges piled on. Richard's lawyers drafted gag orders, forbidding Maria from influencing Emily, while hospital staff whispered about the uppity Maid. Maria adapted, slipping in during off hours, her subway rides from Harlem a blur of resolve. She learned the chemo schedule by heart, timing visits to evade Richard, her stories evolving into shields against pain, tales of resilient women who rose from ashes, mirroring Emily's fight. One evening, Emily clutched Maria's sleeve, voice a thread. Why does Daddy hate you? Maria's throat constricted, her hand trembling as she stroked the girl's thinning hair. He doesn't hate, child. He fears what's different. But Richard overheard, charging in like a bull. Fear! I own this city. You're the threat, poisoning her mind. He grabbed Maria's arm again, dragging her toward the exit. She twisted free, nails raking his skin, drawing a thin line of blood. Touch me again, and I'll scream this hospital down. Nurses intervened, pulling them apart, Richard's roar echoing as he stormed out. Maria collapsed into a chair by Emily's bed, pulse thundering, her body bruised but spirit unbowed. She had overcome the initial barriers, his insults, the isolation, by sheer grit, learning to navigate his rage like a minefield. Emily slept peacefully now, her breathing steady, thanks to Maria's unyielding presence. But as Maria touched her own uneven scalp, hidden under fabric, she knew the real test loomed, her determination forged hotter with each clash. The journey had just ignited, with Emily's strength budding like a fragile flame. You're fired, Maria. Pack your trash and vanish from my sight. Richard's bellow exploded in the hospital corridor, his fist slamming the wall inches from her face, veins throbbing like live wires. Maria recoiled, her back hitting the cold tile, scalp stinging under the scarf as adrenaline surged through her veins. Fired? After Emily just smiled for the first time in weeks, because of me. He charged closer, breath reeking of coffee and fury, cutting her mid-sentence. Smiled? Coincidence. She's Harrington blood. She'll beat this without your meddling. Maria's nails dug into her palms, drawing fresh blood, her body coiled like a spring ready to snap. Emily's breakthrough had come that afternoon. After days of Maria's relentless vigil, dodging Richard's barbs, the girl had sat up in bed, cheeks flushed, giggling at a story of Harlem dancers defying odds. Again, Maria, tell it again, Emily had demanded, her voice stronger, gripping Maria's hand with newfound vigor. Doctors nodded approval, charting improved vitals, one whispering, her spirit's turning. Keep whatever you're doing. Richard had witnessed it from the doorway, his face darkening like a storm front. But Maria pressed on, her resolve ironclad. Now, in this hallway showdown, she shoved past him, storming back to Emily's room. You can't erase me that easily, sir. Emily needs this fight in her. He grabbed her shoulder, spinning her around, his grip bruising deep. Needs? From a nobody like you? I own specialists, flying them from Boston tomorrow. You're obsolete. Maria twisted free, her elbow connecting with his ribs in a sharp jab, eliciting a grunt of pain. She burst into the room where Emily beamed from her pillows, holding up a drawing, a crude sketch of two bald warriors side by side. Look, Maria, we're queens now. Maria's heart clenched, her fingers tracing the paper, tears pricking but swallowed fast. This was the proof, Emily's laughter echoing, her appetite returning in bites of Maria's smuggled soup, the nurses charting, patient engaged, responsive. Richard barreled in after, face contorted. What's this garbage? No more drawings, no more you. He snatched the paper, crumpling it in his fist. Emily's eyes widened, a sob escaping. Daddy, no! Maria's my queen! Maria exploded, snatching it back, unfolding it with trembling hands. See this? It's her strength, our strength. You crush it, you crush her. Richard faltered, his hand dropping, eyes flicking to Emily's pleading face. For the first time, doubt cracked his armor, his voice dropping to a growl. Fine, stay, but one slip and you're out for good. Maria nodded curtly, her pulse racing, knowing this concession marked the shift. Doctors now consulted her on Emily's moods. Richard's aides backed off, whispers in the hullabelling her the miracle worker. She had proven her worth, turning the tide, making herself indispensable. But the victory locked her in, no retreating to Harlem's safety now. Emily clutched her arm that night, whispering, Promise you'll shave like me. Be my twin. Maria's throat tightened, her hands stroking the girl's sparse locks, commitment sealing like a vow. I promise, child, bald and bold together. Richard overheard from the shadows, his silence heavy, but he didn't interrupt, retreating instead. Maria sat vigil through the wee hours, her body aching from endless shifts, yet energized by Emily's progress. Vitals stabilizing, the girl demanding more stories, her eyes alight with fire Maria had kindled. As dawn crept in, Maria touched her scarf, feeling the uneven patches beneath, her decision crystallizing. This path was irreversible, her life entwined with Emily's forever. Richard's threats still loomed, but her triumph drew attention. Hospital staff nodding respect, even Laura murmuring thanks in passing. Yet in that quiet triumph, Maria sensed the gathering storm, her secrets bubbling closer to the surface, ready to erupt. The point of no return burned bright, propelling her deeper into the fray. Back off, Maria. You're turning my daughter against her own kind. Richard's fist crashed onto the hospital tray, sending Emily's drawings scattering like shrapnel across the floor. Maria dove to gather the pieces, her knees hitting the tile hard, pain shooting up her legs as she clutched the crumpled warriors. Against? I'm saving her spirit. You're the one crushing it. He snatched a fragment from her grasp, tearing it in half with a rip that echoed like gunfire. Saving? You're infecting her with your ghetto fantasies. I won't have it. Security, escort this woman out. Maria's blood boiled, her fists pounding the floor in rhythm with her thundering heart, rising to face him eye to eye. Nurses froze in the doorway, one dialing for guards while Emily whimpered from the bed. Daddy, stop. Maria's my friend. Richard whirled on the girl, his voice a hammer. Friend, she's staff. Black staff playing wit's a savior. Enough. Maria lunged forward, her hands shooting out to shield Emily, fingers trembling with rage. Staff? I've bled for her. Nights you ignored. He batted her arm away, bruising her wrist anew, his face inches from hers. Bled? Dramatic nonsense. I've hired pros now. Itaz from Yale, not Harlem holes. The new aides swarmed in, flanking Maria like wolves, one grabbing her elbow with iron fingers. She twisted free, elbow slamming into his chest, eliciting a grunt. Let go! Emily needs me! Emily cried out, her monitors beeping wildly, heart rate spiking as tears streamed down her pale cheeks. Richard orchestrated the siege, barking orders. Restrain her! Call the board if she resists! Maria backed against the wall, breath ragged, her scarf slipping to expose more of her uneven shave, drawing gas from the staff. The pressure mounted. Richard's lawyers flooded her phone with cease and desist texts, threatening lawsuits for emotional interference. Hospital admins hovered, whispering about protocols, one shoving a form under her nose. Sign this. Waive all contact or face trespass charges. Maria slapped it away, the paper fluttering to the ground, her nails scraping the air. Wave! Over my dead body! He cut in, voice slicing. Dead body? Tempting. You're a liability, spreading unrest. Emily reached out weakly. Maria, don't go. But a nurse pulled her hand back, injecting a sedative that made the girl's eyes droop. Maria's chest heaved, fury coiling like a snake, as Richard's goons closed ranks, blocking her path to the bed. Move, or I'll scream bloody murder! One guard clamped a hand over her mouth, muffling her, his grip tasting of sweat and control. She bit down hard, drawing blood, the man yelping and recoiling. Bitch! He spat, nursing his hand. Richard laughed coldly, stepping between them. See? Violent. Typical. The encirclement tightened. Security cameras whirred, capturing every move, while Laura watched from the corner, wringing her hands but silent, her loyalty fractured. Maria fought back, shoving through the crowd, her shoulder ramming a nurse aside. Emily, hold on! But Richard blocked her, his bulk immovable, whispering threats. One more step, and I'll have you arrested. Ruin your life. Your kids, too. Maria's son flashed in her mind, alone in Harlem, fueling her desperation. She clawed at Richard's sleeve, tearing fabric. You wouldn't. I would! He shoved her back, her head cracking against the doorframe, stars exploding in her vision. Dazed, she slid down, blood trickling from her scalp, mixing with sweat. The room spun, staff murmuring compliance. Emily's sobs fading under drugs. Richard loomed over her, triumphant. This ends now. Guards, drag her out. They hauled her up, arms pinned, her feet kicking futilely, heels scraping the floor. No, let me go. Her voice broke, raw with anguish, as they propelled her toward the exit. Richard's sneer burning into her back. In the hallway, she broke free momentarily, slamming a fist into the wall, knuckles splitting open. You'll pay for this! But reinforcements arrived, cuffing her loosely, marching her to the elevator. The doors closed on Emily's distant cry, the sound piercing Maria's soul like a dagger. Trapped in the descent, her body bruised, spirit battered, she gasped for air, the walls of Richard's empire closing in tighter, suffocating her fight. Yet in that suffocation, a spark of defiance flickered, secrets waiting to ignite. You're nothing but trash, Maria. Harlem scum ruining my family. Richard's boot slammed into the elevator door as it opened, his hand shoving Maria out into the lobby, her body tumbling onto the polished floor like discarded waste. She hit hard, elbows scraping raw, blood smearing the marble as security guards piled on, knees pinning her down. Scum! I'm the only one fighting for Emily. You're killing her with hate. He towered over her, knee pressing into her back, breath hot on her neck. Fighting! You're done. Arrest her for assault. Maria's ribs screamed under the weight, her lungs gasping for air, but she thrashed wildly, nails clawing at the guard's arms, drawing red lines of fury. One guard yanked her up by the hair, ripping the scarf clean off, exposing her jagged shave to the gawking crowd. Doctors, patients, all staring. Look at the freak, a voice sneered from the sidelines, laughter rippling like acid. Maria's scalp burned, humiliation flooding her veins, but she headbutted the guard, forehead connecting with his nose in a sickening crunch. Blood sprayed, the man staggering back, howling. You bitch! Cuff her tight! Handcuffs clicked shut, biting into her wrists like fangs as Richard Didier led his phone, voice booming. Police! Yes, trespass and battery at Mount Sinai. Send units now. Maria's world spun, her body dragged across the lobby, feet kicking futilely, heels leaving streaks on the floor. Emily's face flashed in her mind. The girl's trust shattered, her cries echoing from upstairs, now silenced by drugs and distance. Emily, forgive me, Maria whispered through gritted teeth, her voice breaking as tears carved paths down her dirt-streaked cheeks. But Richard cut in, yanking her chin up. Forgive. She'll forget you by morning, replaced by real help. The collapse hit like a freight train. Police sirens wailed outside, officers bursting in, badges flashing as they took over, slamming Maria against a wall for a pat-down. Hands up, spread 'em! One cop's glove roamed roughly, invading her pockets, pulling out Emily's drawing, the torn warriors now confetti. Evidence of harassment, Richard snarled, snatching it away, crumpling it further. Maria's heart shattered, a sob ripping from her throat, her body sagging against the wall. She had lost everything, her job vaporized in his rage, dignity stripped in public view, and worst, Emily's fragile bonds severed. The girl would wake alone, hair falling in clumps, spirit crumbling without Maria's stories to hold her up. Richard leaned in close, whispering venomously, Your son's next. I'll call child services. Say you're unfit. Maria's eyes widened, terror exploding in her chest, her knees buckling as images of her boy, 10 years old, waiting in their cramped apartment, flooded her. No, you monster! She lunged, cuffs rattling, but a cop's baton cracked across her thighs, pain lancing like fire, dropping her to her knees. Humiliation peaked. Phones out, bystanders filming, whispers of crazy Maid spreading like wildfire. She's attacking again. Tase her! A guard's hand hovered over his weapon, electricity crackling in threat. Dragged to the squad car outside, Maria's body limp, bruises blooming purple on her skin, her mind reeling from the avalanche of loss. No more bedside vigils, no more Queen's tales. Emily abandoned to Richard's cold empire, her leukemia unchecked by love's warmth. Maria slumped in the back seat, cuffs cutting deeper, blood dripping from split knuckles onto the seat. It's over, she muttered, voice hollow, defeat crashing down like a collapsed bridge. Richard watched from the doors, arms crossed, a smirk twisting his lips. Finally, gone for good, At the precinct, fingerprints inked, mugshot flashed, Maria sat in a cell, body throbbing, spirit pulverized. Hours blurred, her phone confiscated, no calls to her son, no word to Emily. The failure consumed her, all her grit, her promises, reduced to ashes. Emily's health would plummet now, the girl's whispers of twin queens echoing as mockery in Maria's ears. Curled on the bench, sobs racking her frame, Maria hit rock bottom, every dream shattered. Yet in that abyss a faint whisper stirred, the old letter's secrets, buried but not forgotten, hinting at blood that could rewrite everything. The fall complete, darkness enveloped her, but a sliver of light beckoned from the depths. "Rot in there, Maria. You belong with the rats." Richard's parting sneer echoed through the precinct bars as the cell door clanged shut, his footsteps fading like a receding storm. Maria slumped against the cold concrete wall, her wrists raw from the cuff's bite, body a map of bruises blooming purple and black. "Belong? After everything I gave," she muttered to the empty air, her voice cracking, fists pounding the bench until her knuckles split open again, fresh blood staining the wood. The guard outside laughed harshly, banging his baton on the bars. "Gave? Cry me a river, lady. Assault on a millionaire. You're toast." Maria's shoulders heaved, sobs ripping from her chest in guttural waves, her half-shaved head throbbing with every pulse. She curled into a ball, knees to chin, the jail's stench clawing at her throat. But worse was the void inside, Emily's face haunting her, the girl's frail hand slipping away in memory. "I failed you, baby," Maria whispered, teeth chattering from the chill seeping through her thin clothes, her mind replaying the lobby takedown, the crowd's jeers, the cop's rough hands, Richard's triumphant glare as she was hauled off. Hours dragged like chains, no bail posted, Richard's influence ensuring she stewed. Her son Jamal flashed in her thoughts. 10 years old, alone in their Harlem walk-up, probably pacing by the window, stomach growling from skipped dinner. "Mama's coming," she had promised that morning, but now, lies. She clawed at her scalp, fingers tracing the uneven patches, regret flooding like acid. Why fight? Richard's empire crushed her, job gone, reputation shredded, Emily lost to his cold grip. The girl's leukemia would rage unchecked, her laughter silenced without Maria's queen's tales. "Should have stayed in my lane," Maria hissed, hammering her forehead against the wall, pain exploding in stars, a self-inflicted punishment for daring to cross lines. A fellow inmate stirred in the corner, voice gravelly. "Rich folk always win. Give up, sister." Maria's eyes snapped open, fire flickering briefly, but exhaustion doused it. She collapsed back, body racked with shivers, damming the tears that threatened to break her. Memories assaulted, Emily's first hug 5 years ago, tiny arms around Maria's waist, the stories shared under blankets during storms, the chemo nights where Maria held the basin, whispering strength, all ashes now. "From Harlem queen to jail rat," she spat, nails digging into her palms, drawing more blood, the metallic tang mixing with her sweat. The guard returned, shoving a tray through the slot, stale bread, murky water. "Eat up. Court tomorrow. Assault charges sticking." Maria kicked it away, food splattering, her roar echoing. "Charges? For loving a child?" He banged the bars again. "Love? Delusional. You're done." She paced the cell, 3 steps one way, 3 back, walls closing in like Richard's vice. Surrender tempted. Sign whatever. Vanish back to Harlem. Forget the Harringtons. "Let him win," she murmured, sinking to the floor, head in hands, sobs muffled against her knees. Emily's voice echoed in her ears. "Promise you'll be my twin." A dagger twisting deeper. Night deepened, fluorescent buzz the only sound. Maria's body numb, spirit fractured. She traced old scars on her arms, from childhood fights, Goa Chong beatings, reminders of survival. But this? Deeper wounds. "Give up," the inmate muttered again. Maria's fist clenched but loosened, defeat settling like lead. Jamal's face loomed. How to explain Mama's arrest? Shame burned hot, her resolve crumbling. Curled fetal, she whispered prayers from her mother's tongue, seeking solace. But silence answered. Rock bottom gripped her, every loss a weight pressing down, threatening to bury her alive. Yet in that crushing dark, a faint rustle stirred. The old letter in her pocket, crumpled but intact, its words a whisper of buried truths waiting to surface. Unlock this door, now! Maria's fist hammered the cell bars, her voice a raw bellow that rattled the metal, knuckles bleeding anew from the impact. The guard spun, baton raised, shoving it through the gap to jab her shoulder. Quiet, inmate, or solitary for you. Maria staggered back, pain lancing through her arm, but her eyes blazed, fixed on the crumpled letter she had fished from her pocket during the endless night. Solitary? I've been alone my whole life. Try me. She sank to the bench, unfolding the yellowed paper with trembling fingers. Ink faded, but words searing like fresh brands. Her mother's handwriting looped across the page. Secrets from decades ago, a forbidden affair between her father, a Harlem janitor, and Richard's mother, a society heiress hiding shame behind wealth. Blood ties, Maria whispered, her breath catching, the revelation exploding in her chest like a grenade. Emily wasn't just a charge, she was kin, a niece hidden by prejudice. DNA linking them across divides Richard enforced with iron fists. The guard banged again. Talking to ghosts? Pathetic. Maria's jaw locked, teeth grinding until her gums ached, but the letter fueled a firestorm inside. She paced 3 steps, turn, 3 back, the words replaying. Dates matching Emily's grandmother's trips to Harlem, whispers of a child disowned, her own father's silence before his death. D, I'm her D, Maria hissed, the truth igniting her veins, transforming defeat into fury. No more crumbling. This bond explained the pull, the maternal fear she felt for Emily, stronger than any Harrington claim. Memories surged, Emily's blue eyes mirroring her father's old photos, the girl's instinctive trust, calling Maria queen like family lore. Richard's hatred clicked into place, subconscious fear of exposure, his empire built on buried scandals. Maria's fists clenched around the letter, crumpling edges, her body vibrating with renewed purpose. He knew, or suspected, she growled, slamming her palm against the wall, skin splitting but ignored. The guard peered in. Crazy talk. Shut it. She whirled on him, eyes feral. Crazy? Truth's coming. Watch. In that confined hell, awareness dawned like a blade unsheathed. Her half-shave wasn't enough. Full baldness now, a symbol of unbreakable solidarity, to storm back and claim her place. Plans crystallized, bail out with whatever scraps, confront Richard at the hospital, thrust the letter in his face, demand tests to prove blood. Emily needs her real family, Maria muttered, her voice steadying, sobs replaced by steel resolve. The letter's final line burned. Forgive the silence, daughter. Claim what's yours. Claim it she would. For Jamal, too. Show him strength over surrender. The guard tossed in a phone for her one call. Make it quick. Maria dialed her neighbor, voice commanding. Get Jamal safe. I'm out soon. And find a lawyer. Harrington's going down. Hanging up, she tucked the letter away, her posture straightening, bruises throbbing but irrelevant. Richard's beatdown had stripped her bare. But this truth rebuilt her, piece by scorching piece. Twin queens. For real, she vowed, fingers tracing her scalp, ready to finish the shave, to emerge bald and bold. As morning light filtered through the bars, Maria stood tall, eyes locked on the door, the revelation a weapon in her arsenal. No more abyss, uprising brood, secrets her ammunition against the empire. Emily's face fueled her, pale but resilient, waiting for the D she never knew. The guard unlocked for court. Move it! Maria stepped out, chin high, the letter her shield, ignition sparking for the final clash. But first, freedom and vengeance wrapped in love. You're a liar, Maria. Blood? You're poisoning my line with your filth. Richard's roar shattered the hospital room silence, his fist crashing down on Emily's bedside table, knocking the IV stand teetering. Maria burst through the door, bald head gleaming under the lights, the fresh shave a defiant crown. her lawyer trailing with DNA papers clutched tight. Filth? Read this. Your mother's affair. My father's child. Emily's my niece. He lunged, snatching the letter, eyes bulging as he scanned the lines, face purpling with rage. Fake! Forged by Harlem trash! Maria shoved forward, her body still bruised from jail, planting herself between him and Emily's bed, where the girl lay hooked to machines, eyes wide with confusion. Fake? Test it. Blood doesn't lie. Richard crumpled the paper, hurling it at her face. It bounced off her cheek, drawing a thin cut. She didn't flinch, her jaw set like granite, fingers balling into fists. Test? Over my dead body, you're invading my family. Emily whimpered, reaching out. Maria, bald like me. Maria knelt instantly, clasping the girl's hand, her touch electric with kinship. Twin queens, baby. Family now. Richard charged, grabbing Maria's collar, yanking her up, his breath hot with venom. Family? You're a con. Guards! Security piled in, two men seizing Maria's arms, twisting them back until her shoulder screamed. She kicked out, boot connecting with one's knee in a crunch, the man crumpling with a yell. Let go! Truth's here! The other guard slammed her against the wall, cuffing her wrist again. Resisting? Back to jail. Richard orchestrated, phone out, dialing cops. Arrest her! Trespass! But Maria twisted free, elbow smashing into the guard's jaw, blood spraying from his lip. She dove for the DNA kit on the table, thrusting it at the nurse. Swab her, now! The nurse hesitated, eyes darting to Richard. Sir? He slapped the kit away, tubes scattering. No, my daughter, my rules! Emily cried out, monitors beeping in chaos, her small frame convulsing. Daddy, stop! Hurts! Maria exploded, tackling Richard, her bald head butting his chest, driving him back. See? You're killing her. Let the test happen. He shoved her off, fists swinging, connecting with her ribs in a crack that stole her breath. She gasped, doubling over, but surged up, nails raking his arm, drawing red welts. Test, or lose her forever. Laura burst in then, face ashen, clutching hospital files. Richard, wait. The old photos. It matches. He whirled on his wife, voice a whip. Traitor, shut up. But Laura pressed on, shoving a faded picture into his hands, his mother with Maria's father, arms linked. Richard's face drained, his hands shaking, the photo slipping to the floor. No, impossible. Doctors swarmed, stabilizing Emily as the girl sobbed. Maria, stay. Maria stood tall, breath ragged, bruises throbbing, but ignored. I'm staying. Swab us. Richard faltered, collapsing into a chair, head in hands. Do it. The nurse complied, quick swabs on Emily and Maria, sealing tubes for rush lab. Guards backed off, uncertain, as Richard muttered, If true, God. Maria loomed over him, voice steel. True, and you'll beg forgiveness. He looked up, eyes shattered, but defiance lingered. Beg? Never. From you. Hours blurred in tension, Maria pacing by Emily's side, holding her hand, whispering queen's tales to calm the beeps. Richard sat silent, fists clenched, Laura between them like a buffer. The lab tech returned, face neutral, handing results. Match confirmed, familial relation. Richard's roar died in his throat, body slumping, tears breaking free. How? Why hide? Maria snatched the paper, thrusting it at him. Your world's hate. Now face it. He reached out weakly, but she pulled back. Apologize to her. Pointing at Emily, who smiled faintly. Sorry. Aunt Maria? Maria's chest heaved, victory surging, but she knelt by Emily, hugging her tight. Aunt? Yes. Richard rose, voice broken. Forgive me. Guards retreated, doors closing on the chaos. The confrontation shattered barriers, truth victorious, but scars lingered. Emily's vitals steadied, her hand in Maria's, the family reformed in fire. Yet peace hovered fragile, ready for a new dawn. Your family now, Maria. Stay, please. Richard's voice cracked, his hand extended in surrender as he knelt by Emily's bed, tears carving paths down his weathered face. Maria stood frozen, her bald scalp still stinging from the fresh shave. bruises pulsing like war drums. But she gripped Emily's hand tighter, her voice ablade. Family? After your beatings, your lies, earn it. He recoiled, palms up, body slumping against the chair. Earn? I've lost everything. My pride, my secrets. Maria's eyes narrowed, her free hand slamming the DNA results on the table, the paper crumpling under force. Lost? Try living invisible, Harlem shadows while you lord it over towers. Emily tugged Maria's sleeve, voice weak but insistent. Aunt Maria, hug Daddy. Maria hesitated, chest heaving, but bent, pulling Richard into an awkward embrace, his sobs muffled against her shoulder. Forgive. For her, she growled, her grip iron, refusing to soften fully. The room exhaled, nurses retreating, Laura joining the circle, her arms encircling them all. Together, finally. Richard pulled back, face raw, whispering, I'll make amends. Fund your son's school. Harlem clinics. Maria shoved him lightly, fire lingering. Amends? Start with sorry. To Jamal. To me. He nodded, voice hoarse. Sorry for the hate, the slaps, the cuffs. Maria's jaw unclenched slightly, her body easing, the weight lifting as Emily beamed, her monitors steadying to a calm rhythm. Queens win, the girl whispered, squeezing both hands. Days blurred into healing. Emily's chemo eased, hair stubs sprouting like hope. Maria moving into the penthouse guest room, her bald head a badge of victory. Richard transformed, boardroom deals shifting to charity. Harlem youth programs funded, his speeches denouncing old prejudices. I was blind, he admitted at a family dinner, fork clinking against plate, eyes on Maria. You showed me. She nodded curtly, passing bread. Blind? Cruel. But change sticks. Or else. Jamal arrived wide-eyed at the luxury, hugging Emily like kin, the boy whispering, Mama's a hero. Maria ruffled his hair, her voice soft. Hero? Just love over walls. Nights found them under one roof, stories shared around the table, African queens mingling with Harrington lore, laughter echoing where silence once ruled. Richard listened, absorbing, his hand occasionally clasping Maria's in truce. Blood binds us, he murmured one evening, raising a glass. Maria clinked it hard, eyes fierce. Blood? Love does, crosses races, classes. Emily cheered, her strength returning, scampering with Jamal, the penthouse alive with chaos Maria once scrubbed away. Months passed, remission declared, Emily's crown of curls growing thick, mirroring Maria's regrowth. Richard sponsored community events, standing beside Maria on stages, his voice booming apologies to crowds. I learned from her, Maria spoke next. Bald no more, but spirit bare. Hate divides, sacrifice unites. Applause thundered, but she pulled him aside backstage. Live it, daily. He nodded, grip firm. I will. The new reality solidified. Maria as aunt, advisor, equal. Harlem roots enriching Manhattan Heights. Jamal thrived in private school, Emily bloomed cancer-free, and family bonds forged in fire. Richard's empire softened, donations flowing to bridge gaps he once widened. Thank you, he whispered to Maria at Emily's birthday, cake knife in hand. She sliced deep, voice steady. Thank love, not me. In quiet moments, Maria touched her scalp, scars faded, remembering the shave that shattered chains. The message echoed, true wealth lies in compassion, sacrifice, healing, where hate wounds, love conquering divides of race and riches. Families rebuilt, stronger. The Harrington Tower now a beacon of unity, whispers of Queens eternal. In the end, this story reminds us that true love and selfless sacrifice can bridge the deepest divides of race, class, and wealth, proving that compassion is the greatest healer of all. What do you think? Share your thoughts or a similar story from your own life in the comments below. We'd love to hear how love has overcome barriers for you. Thank you for watching. If this touched your heart, hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and we'll see you in the next inspiring tale. Take care.